So you're wondering how much it costs to live in Fort Myers, Florida. Well, this video is going to be all about the cost of living right here in Fort Myers, so stay tuned. My name is Zachary Staruch. I'm a local real estate broker right here in Fort Myers, Florida. And in this video, we're going to talk about the cost of living, including buying or renting a home, utility costs, buying groceries, filling up your car and eating out, and we're going to compare it to some of the other major cities where a lot of people move here from. Please click that subscribe button. I do a ton of videos about Fort Myers, including what it's like to live here, the different neighborhoods, and lots of really cool stuff. And I'm going to continue doing it. So you want to make sure you click the subscribe button and that little bell right next to it so you're notified every time I do a video. So let's get started with the largest expense that most people have wherever they live, the cost of housing. If you're buying a home and looking at a typical 3-bedroom single-family home, the average sale price in Fort Myers for June 2020, which was a crazy month for real estate sales, was $272,000. Now, of course, the price of a home can vary widely depending on the area, the condition of the home, and the amenities, but going by the MLS, $272,000 was the average sale price last month for a 3-bedroom, single-family home with a Fort Myers address. Now, if you compare it to some of the larger cities in Florida, you'll see that our cost of housing is quite a bit lower. For reference, the average price in Tampa for a single-family home was $315,000, while in Miami, it's just shy of $500,000 at $490,000. And when you factor in things like location and condition, I can tell you the average homes in these cities aren't close to the water and they may need quite a bit of work. So we talked about owning a house, now what about renting? Well, renting has kind of gone crazy here. There's tons of new apartments being built, and even with these new additions, a lot of the rental prices are higher than a mortgage payment. If you were to rent a 3-bedroom apartment or a house in Fort Myers, the average price is going to be anywhere from $2,000 to $2,300 a month for an annual lease. Let's say you're a snowbird. You just want to rent a home for a month or two, perhaps for the winter season. Well, you can count on paying those same amounts, but per week. That's right. A 3-bedroom home that would rent for $2,000 a month will be $2,000 per week for a short-term rental. Now that's turnkey furnished, so you literally just need to bring your clothes and a toothbrush. But you can see how expensive it can be to rent a home here. Now, before anyone loses their mind, and I know someone out there is doing it already, just because your cousin Bob rents a home for $1,000, please remember, these are averages. Some places will be less expensive, some will be more expensive, depending on a bunch of different factors. So now that we've talked about where you will live, let's talk about utilities. For reference, I'm going to use my own home as the baseline. To be honest, it's probably not the best example, but it's the home I know best, so that's why I'm going to use it. So if your home is going to be a little smaller, take a little bit off. But if your home is going to be larger, add a little bit more, okay? My home is about 2,900 square feet, and I like it pretty cool. So the AC is usually set around 72 degrees, which uses more electricity. Last August, which is typically our hottest month, my electric bill was $211. But like I said, that's for 2,900 square feet with AC turned down to 72, which my wife insists is freezing, but she's wrong. By comparison, our coolest month is January. Last January, my electric bill was $103. And keep in mind, my family leaves on every single light all day long. So it's safe to assume that we use more electricity than a typical family between our lights and our high AC usage. For internet, we pay $60 a month for a crazy fast unlimited deal from Xfinity. That price hasn't changed since we bought the home a couple of years ago. Like many people these days, we don't have cable, so I can't comment on that. But many communities in this area actually include your internet and cable as part of your HOA fees, which is nice. Our water bill is around $100 a month, but talking to my neighbors, I know we use more than the average and therefore we pay more. And finally, we have natural gas in my home, which isn't really common in Southwest Florida, but homes have it. And we have it and we use it for the stove, the oven, the dryer, water heater, and the pool heater, which is really only used in the wintertime, and the furnace, which only gets used a handful of nights per year. Anyway, our average gas bill in the summer is about $75. In the winter, it can be twice that. However, most of the difference between those two numbers comes from cranking the pool heater up on the cooler months. And I have to say, after I say this out loud, I'm realizing my family is very inefficient when it comes to our utility usage. And realistically, most people will probably pay a third of what we do, especially if you don't crack the AC, if you don't crank the pool heater in the winter, or if you have a smaller home that uses less power in general. Looks like we spend about $400 a month on utilities, give or take. But if you're more responsible than we are, or perhaps live in a smaller home, you could easily get away with spending between $100 to $150 for utilities each month. So you've moved to Fort Myers, you're not yet retired, so you still need to get to work. Most people here drive. There is public transport, it's a bus line. It's really not that good, it's really not efficient, and while some people do ride their bikes around, our bike lanes and bike paths aren't great, but they are getting better. You're going to be a sweaty mess after that first mile when you're riding in July too, so realistically, you're going to need a car. As of today, which is July 22nd, 2020, at the racetrack fuel station just down the street from me in South Fort Myers, regular gas is $1.99 per gallon and diesel is $2.19 per gallon. Now, of course, fuel prices change frequently, so if you want to know what they are right now as you watch this, ask down below in the comments and I'll reply with the current prices. We also have a few bridges here that you may not ever cross, but if you do want to go to Sanibel Island or Cape Coral, you're going to need to pay a toll. These tolls are only paid when you leave Fort Myers, so the return trip is free. But for Sanibel, it's $6, and for Cape Coral, it's $2. You can get to Cape Coral from Fort Myers without paying a toll, but depending on your start and end points, it may be a lot easier just to pay the $2. If you're a frequent user of the bridges, you can buy an annual pass, which will save you quite a bit of money depending on your frequency of use. So whether you're going to be working here or you're retiring here, you're going to want to go out and eat sometimes at our wonderful restaurants. Obviously, eating out costs more than eating at home, but how much more? An average meal for 2 people at a pretty good restaurant will be around $50 for 2 entrees and 2 alcoholic drinks. But of course, it's all going to vary depending on what you order. My wife, daughter, and I went out for breakfast a couple of days ago, and it was $29 for the 3 of us. This was at a tourist place on Sanibel Island, so it was probably a little more than it would have been further inland. And of course, I had that $6 toll that I mentioned earlier. And none of these prices include a tip either, which please don't forget that. Now, assuming you make some meals at home, you're going to do some grocery shopping. I made a note last time I went to Publix, which is our grocery store, and here's the prices I found on some staples. 1 gallon of milk was $3.79. 1 loaf of generic white bread was $2.09. A dozen Publix brand extra large eggs were $1.89. Boar's Head honey ham from the deli was $11.99 per pound. Bananas were 69 cents a pound. A 12-pack of Corona beer in bottles was $15.99, and a 24-pack of Bud Light in cans was $22.99. How do these compare to where you live? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm curious. Now, since this is Florida, we don't have a state income tax, which is great. Uncle Sam still takes his cut, but at least Tallahassee leaves us alone in the tax department. Since we don't have a state income tax, we do have sales tax on most items. Florida state sales tax is 6%, while Lee County charges a 0.5%, for a total of 6.5%. So if you're moving from one of the few states that don't have a sales tax, be prepared just to pay a little bit more than the price you see on the item. And as I just touched on, Florida does not have a state income tax. So if you're moving here from another state, it's going to be like getting a raise of anywhere from 3 to 12%, depending on your income level and the state you lived in. Oh, and Florida property taxes are also well below the national average. So you really do pay less to the government to live here. And since you're probably wondering how the state makes money, since we don't pay taxes, the answer is tourists, which we have a lot of. It's Florida. Any accommodation rental of less than 6 months will have a 5% tax in addition to the sales tax. Whether it's 1 night in a hotel or 5 months in a beachfront condo, that 5% tax helps to keep our government funded and our other taxes low or non-existent. So thank you, tourists. Anyway, we've talked about the cost of living in Fort Myers. How does it compare to other places? Well, I looked at the most expensive cities to live in the United States. The largest list I could find was the 50 most expensive cities of the 100 most expensive zip codes. Not surprising, Fort Myers wasn't on any of those lists. I can tell you the bottom 5 most expensive cities were all the cities in the Midwest, which is where a lot of people move here from, so I'm not at all surprised. If you happen to live in a larger metro area like Atlanta, Chicago, Nashville, or Philadelphia, or a state like New York or New Jersey, you'll be pleasantly surprised at how our cost of living compares to home. Anyway, like I said, I'm a local real estate broker right here in Fort Myers. If you have any questions, if you're thinking about moving to Fort Myers, or perhaps your job is relocating you here, give me a call or reach out to me any way you'd like. I'd love to help answer your questions, make sure you have the ideal place to live in. If you have any questions, or you know where you're going to be working, or you know where you want to be playing, then I can definitely help you find a home really close to that, because there's so many different options both in Fort Myers and the surrounding areas. Comment down below if you've been to Fort Myers, and if you agree with my info or not. And make sure, please click that subscribe button. I do a ton of videos about the area, what it's like to live here, the best neighborhoods, lots of really cool stuff. And I'm going to continue doing that. So you want to make sure you click the subscribe button, click the little bell right next to it so you're notified every time I do a video. I will see you next time.